Born for this, born to write, born to speak up, born to fight, born to dream in the dead of night. The gifted bipolar writer shining so bright. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Embracing the chaos, finding the light, breaking the chains, taking flight, riding the waves with all our might, writing our story in black and white. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Through the highs and lows, we find our way. In the darkest moments, we still find day. The pen in our hand, the power we hold, the story unfolds as we break the mold. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Through the highs and lows, we find our way. In the darkest moments, we still find day. The pen in our hand, the power we hold, the story unfolds as we break the mold.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nick Never in Control. So, my deepest apologies for last Saturday. It was a Never in Control moment, and not one that has happened before, so I guess we're not going to be upset about that. I believe everything happens for a reason. Maybe we all needed a night off. So, tonight, we have another awesome show ahead, and we have with us three of the co-authors of the next anthology launching July 1st. We choose to be more than our diagnoses. But before I bring them up, we have another very special guest. She is the spokeswoman for our anthology. When I decided to do this anthology, I knew that I wanted to have a spokesman and a spokeswoman, both of them who embody what this book is all about, what these stories are all about, and who I felt would be a great representation of the individuals in this book. So Chris Malazewski, Walking Tall Movement, is a gentleman that I met some time ago, and I greatly admire the work that he does and the way he's there for others. So I asked him to step up and do this with us, and he readily agreed. There was another individual that readily agreed. I first saw her and thought of her honestly as the lady with the fairy wings. She is still the lady with the fairy wings to me. And when I talk about her with my husband, if I say like tonight she's gonna be on the show, if I say her name, he's like, "Who?" I'm like, "The lady with the fairy wings." So this is a whole circle. I actually met her through my big brother and executive remote producer, my confidant, my partner in crime, my everything back there, Mr. Aaron Gibson. Hello, luminous souls. So I just remember him in a live show going, paging Nicole and Guy. I'm like, huh? So I happened to see this in the notifications and I'm like, why is he paging me? All right, let me go see. And lo and behold, I ended up in the audience of this show called Voice Your Mind. Yes, I'm sure many of you have heard it. And if you haven't, oh, you need to run on over to YouTube and check it out. This, like, without a doubt, was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Like, you know, Nick. Nick is totally like, calls it as she sees it. I'm like, what the hell is going on that stage? There was Nancy Deborah Barrows, there was Brian Shulman, Aaron was up there, Jenny Gold was up there, you know, music's playing and people are wearing all, you know, funky costumes and laughing and talking. I mean, within 10 minutes, I was like over the moon. I was cracking up. I'm like, oh, I love this. This is just nuts. Um, and there was so much love going around in the audience. There was this song that they played every episode called "You Are Somebody." I knew all their darn words. I would hashtag "You Are Somebody" and tag people in. It was that kind of vibe. So tonight, I am so excited to bring her on stage, have her share a little bit about who she is and why she said yes to doing this with us. So before I ask Aaron to bring her on stage, I'm going to make sure that I acknowledge all of you beautiful people out there. I see you, I see you, I see you. I can't start rattling off names because we're going to be here for the next 10 minutes, but I see you out there. And I want you to know that each and every one of you is in my heart. But I guess you know this already too, because I harass so many of you in DMs anyway. So with that, Aaron, would you please bring up our special guest, Nancy Deborah? Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and I've been back here just smiling from ear to ear, thinking about all those memories and hearing your just kind and generous words. That show, that community, really is special. Yeah, when you showed up, right, it was paging and immediately your family. You're part of the Vibe Tribe. And yes, we made sure that everybody was seen, heard, loved, and valued. And there were so many beautiful things that happened at that show. And some of the most amazing things were the people I met, Nicole, you being one of them. So when you asked me, and I'm going to let you lead this because otherwise you know how this goes. I'll just hold it. But I want to quickly say hello to everyone. I see so many names that I don't know. For those of you I haven't met yet, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support of this book, of this show, and of the people here. This is just an amazing opportunity. In so many ways, beyond just the book launch that you're and the authors that are here, this show, Nicole, which is so weird. I called you Nicole, but for who you are as a human and what you offer, like there's so much special here. So I just wanted to start there and say thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's so funny. There are a few people that call me Nicole still. Like, you know, people call me Nick, but there are a handful that do call me Nicole, and like they can't get it out of their head. So like they just used to call me Nicole, and I'm like over it. But yeah. So I just want to say thank you for, you know, saying yes to doing this. You know, as with social media, period, like you build really strong connections, you build friendships. Life happens. You go in and you're out. You dip. You're close. You know the other person's there, but you're off doing your own thing, and that's just the way social media is. So Nancy and I have worked on projects before. She was a co-author along with Brian Shulman in a People First professional networking platform. They were in book 3 with me, How We Found Our Purpose and Started a Business. Then I went on to co-author in Voice Your Vibe. It was the Voice Your Vibe book.
Yes.
So I went on to co-author in there as well. So we have worked on projects, and because of Aaron, um, I got the opportunity to really um, learn how to do what I'm doing because he put me backstage in a show um, and actually gave me permission to press buttons, which I thought was really weird. Thank God I never pressed the red one there that says end stream. Um, but Nancy and Brian was there as well, and I was always like flabbergasted at how they were throwing the comments up in time to what Aaron was saying. I mean, I tried. I was just like putting up the comments, but did they make sense? No. But they did this with such ease, and there was such a camaraderie with the three of them. Like they just anticipated what they each needed. So I am like really grateful that Aaron kind of put his arm around me and said, "Come, come meet this family, come be a part of this family." And um, that was so much of where I am and what I'm doing to him and to the beautiful people he has brought into my life. So thank you. Um, I'm going to ask you, like, just for a couple of minutes, if you would share a little bit of who you are with us. I know it's never fun to talk about yourself, but I want people to understand, and I know that you know why I asked you to be a part of this project because I know what your focus is on mental health and some of the experiences you've had in your life. And if you wouldn't mind just, taking a couple minutes to just share that with us.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to start with the part that's uncomfortable. I am an award-winning live stream host, co-host. I've had more than my fair share of shows and the Voice Your Vibe shows for more than 500 episodes consecutively with Brian Schulman. I am a 13-time #1 best-selling author. I was named one of the top 50 most impactful people of LinkedIn, a top voice 5 times. Many accolades I've had the privilege of being sorry, Katie J. I'm savoring the flavor of you being here. These are some friends that I haven't seen in a really long time. It's making my heart so happy. And I tell people this, and I can keep going, but to me, the important part is like you could read the resume and think you know me and have your opinions about me, but what people wouldn't know if I wasn't honest and hadn't started, the tool belt, my chick tips and radiating real, that hashtag movement, is that I struggle every day. I struggle every day with things that people don't see, and I have been told, by doctors and other people what I was going to be able to do and what I wouldn't be able to do, and to me that was never it was never going to allow me to live the life that I truly wanted, build a life I love. So for those of you who don't know me, who don't know my story, I'll give you a little bit of a background. I was sexually abused by my grandfather till I was about 16 years old when a mandated reporter reported it, and it all came out. And the secret that I had carefully kept my whole life was literally unleashed everywhere. A lot happened after that. My first major depressive episode, I confronted my grandfather. I dropped out of college. I was anorexic. I have a learning disability. I'm definitely neurodivergent. ADHD wasn't identified because I'm a girl and I'm 52 years old. And even now we have a hard time identifying, that ADHD in girls because it looks different. For sure, I was told, a lot of things were in my head in terms of my pain and my body experience, but I knew my body and I kept fighting forward. One example is when I was in my early 20s, I actually had my gallbladder removed, and when they removed it, they actually made me go down to pathology. Your gallbladder is about this big, and they stopped counting at 50 stones, but they just kept telling me, oh, you're stressed out, you're finishing grad school, you're engaged, you're getting married. And I said to the doctor, I know my body. This is not how my body responds to stress. So many years of fighting you're the best. Many years of fighting to be heard And then deciding that I didn't need other people to tell me. So it wasn't until like 3 years ago that I was actually diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which explained a whole lot about my whole life, quite frankly. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a connective tissue disorder where my joints sublocate. I am very lucky. I don't have a version of it where they have yet dislocated or have other areas of my body that are affected, but it definitely has, for many years, been one of those things where it didn't make sense to anyone and I shouldn't be feeling the way I was. And yet I knew that I was, again, wanting to live a life that I loved. I worked so hard to come back from my early childhood and the abuse and all of that, to not be judged by my cover, to not be literally killing one another with this perfect curated output on social media and even in my day-to-day life. Like, no, I'm crappy. I cry at work. I make mistakes and I own them. And again, I don't accept apologies for living life and being human, because I've spent way too much time doing that. And so when Nicole came to me, and before I think she got everything out of her mouth, I was a big old yes, because I'm a proponent of mental health advocacy, personal development, all of that great stuff, but sharing our stories, because our stories are so incredibly powerful, and it's really what connects us and allows us to feel like we're not the only one and we're not in the dark. I didn't know anybody who had been sexually abused growing up. I didn't know that it happened to other people. I didn't know for a long time that it wasn't normal, quote unquote, right? That I didn't know this was different from what was happening in other people's homes. But over time, what I have learned is my story is powerful, and I am blessed, thank you, to be able to tell it, to have made it through what a lot of men and women do not make it through, to be able to stand here with the support of friends and family, and to have gotten nothing but positive feedback when I do share. And so when I heard that you were facilitating, and this means so much to me, facilitating people sharing their stories, especially the ones that we might see the surface, we may not, but we certainly don't know the whole thing. It's so important to me. We might know a chapter of someone's life. We see them where they are now, but you don't know the whole story. So allowing people to have that voice, because to me, being seen, heard, loved, and valued is paramount. And our being in the world and connected to each other and owning our truth is so incredibly freeing to ourselves, and it's transformative for others. It's not hyperbole. It is absolutely life-changing for others to hear these stories and see the people behind, the faces behind the stories. Like, I'm an everyday person. I'm not, I have 2 cats. I love carrot cake. I mess up all the time. I know less than I do know. And listen, I made it. I am grateful for that gift. And I share it as much as I possibly can.
You chose, and that's why I chose you, because this book is "We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnosis," and you chose. You chose to not let life live you. You chose how you want to live your life, and that's what these stories are about. So I just want to thank you again for your time, your energy. I know you have a lot that's happening right now with you with your parents, and you have carved some time out to be a support to all of the voices in this book. So thank you so much. We'll be chatting.
My selfish pleasure, to be honest. It's absolutely my selfish pleasure to be a part of this, to amplify these people, these stories, and what you're doing, Nicole, even just taking the leap into publishing, the ultimate, voice of storytelling, that vehicle. There's something about saying it, but there's something. I remember the first time I published, my words were published, that your story is out there forever for someone to find in time whenever they need it. And it gives me chills to think about that, because that's what you're creating every day. And that's what you're doing for these people and these stories.
It's a gift that writers give to me. They're very good at thanking the publisher, but honestly, they are the ones that are sharing their gifts with us. We couldn't do what we do if there weren't people who wanted to share their stories. And no matter how much we may inspire or invigorate, we can't make you want to share your story. So that's all you.
Yeah.
So
And no one can tell your story the way you do.
I absolutely agree. Well,
that's
thank you so much.
my
Thank
pleasure.
Brian for letting us steal you for a little bit, and
No
I'll be in
problem.
touch.
I'll be around. I'll be back. Be in touch. If we are not connected, I will say that since my move to Florida, my social media presence is very different. I show up differently now than I used to. So please send a request if you're interested in connecting. I love bringing good people into my world in any way that I can help. Like I said, amplify and support and do the best I can. Just say you saw me here and give me a little grace on how long it might take me to get through everything. So, I love you, Miss. Lots of love to everyone here. Light, love, and power. And just wrapping you all like in light, love, and power. Thank you so much
Thank
for who
you
you are
so
and what you
very
do.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, goodness. So I'm glad that Nancy was able to come today and share a bit about her story. I think it's very important, not just for the writers to know because they know, but for the audience and the potential readers to understand the names and the people behind the names who are connected to this project. That is where the true meaning lies. So, we have three very special guests today, and I am going to bring them up now. Um, all right, there we go. Isn't that lovely? Like I don't even have to like cue in my remote producer. He just knows. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for your patience backstage. Um, just I adore you all. There's no other way to say it. And I'm so fortunate to have worked with some of you more than once, and one of you for the first time. And it just, it's incredible how we continue to just connect through connections and connections through friends and friends through connections. And it just keeps amplifying. Um, so I am going to go round robin with you guys. I want to thank Jenlyn very much for having us on Engine to Heart last night, and Lydia for being there. Marissa, this is my first time interviewing Marissa, so this would be very interesting as well. It's a lot of firsts happening with this project. Um, like a rebirth, a cleansing, uh, a level of healing that needed to be reached. And we're constantly leveling that up. So with that, I'm going to start with Jen Lynn, and then we'll move to Marissa and then Lydia. So if you could please take a few minutes to introduce yourself, let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from.
My name is Jen Lynn. I'm tuning in from the border of Texas and Oklahoma, about an hour north of Dallas. And I'm the creator of Avant-Garde Branding and also part of a couple other projects that you will hear me talking about a lot in the next coming weeks. And yeah, that's it. That's me. That's where I'm from.
And when are you coming to New York to do my makeup?
We can all pitch in. We should all pitch in for some tickets, some flights, a hotel room, and let's get it on.
I think that is a fabulous idea.
Yeah, we should do it.
Thank you so much. Marissa, why don't you let us know a little bit about you?
Muted, I think, right? Oh, thank you. My name is Marissa Shaw. I'm coming from Northern California, and when I'm not writing, I'm a case manager, and I also have my own website, The Mobility Mentor, and so yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, there is so much more to you than that, but we're going to dig into
Yeah,
all
well,
of that as we go along. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Marissa. Lydia.
I think it was perfect, Marissa. We don't have time for a blow by blow, right? But I'm glad to see you again over there in Northern California. I am on the opposite coast from Marissa, and I am in the capital of Vermont. My name is Lydia Laurie Bustler, and I'm far enough north that I am much closer to Montreal than to any other cities. So that's about where I am, if that gives you an idea. And let's see, what else did you ask? What do I do? How do I show up? I'm a creative to the bone, and I'm a lifelong musician, and I'm educated in art and music. But I found that even though I wanted to be a veterinarian, that doing those things was great because creative energy is healing energy. So now I'm a healer.
Thank you so much, Lydia. You know, we're gonna get to know these ladies a bit better, but just from the three people on the stage and what you know of me, I hope you see the diversity in the people that are in this anthology. We might share some common threads, but we are all unique. Um, Everybody in this book is kind of doing their own thing. You know, I put a post out today, and you know, there are coaches and authors, athletes, business owners, um, transformational coaches, fitness people. There's so many people from so many different walks of life, and diagnoses and the stigmas that come along with them. It's really sad how it kind of just lumps everybody together. And while there's a commonality, that commonality should really be based on empathy, love, desire to connect, um, and just help. It should not be stigmatized as a lumping together of people with problems. And I guess that's why, this book means so much to me, and not just me. I know we've grown very close in this project, all of us, and I know what this has come to mean to each of the writers. So I'm gonna start with the next round of questioning, and I just want to say to everyone, I'm seeing all the messages. I think somebody said, "Hi neighbor." It was Northern California too. I think it might have been Noni. And Adrian, you complimented my necklace, and I just want to say thank you very much. This belonged to my mom, who this year would have been passed away for 8 years. This is her jewelry set. Um, and I carry her in my heart with me and with everything that I do. All right, Jenlyn. Jenlyn. All right, Jenlyn.
Yes.
Can you share with us what your diagnosis or diagnoses are? Um, when did you first learn about it with them? And what was your reaction?
I have 9 autoimmune diseases. So I have SLE lupus, I have fibromyalgia, I have Crohn's, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it goes on. I have migraines. I'm also bipolar. There's a lot. What I talked about in the book was my lupus was the very first that I was. Well, fibro was, and then it was lupus. Lupus was the one that really disturbed, turned my life upside down, and it was devastating. I had to quit a career as a firefighter paramedic that I worked very hard to earn my place and do that calling. And it was life changing. It changed my life. It turned it upside down. It was also, though, very much so mirror, a magnifying glass into what it means to be human and into the strength that I had within me that I didn't realize really, you know, I wouldn't have called it strength or grit or resilience or any of those things before then. And I was in my early 30s.
I think you put that so well. A reflection and a mirror of our humanity. You know, when I think about me and that, you know, it's not that I didn't know something was wrong until it was like diagnosed and treatable or treated. Um, they kind of go through life in this, oh, that's happening to that person or that's happening to that person. Like, nothing's gonna happen to me. You know, I'm fine. Um, and you always like think you can't be touched by.
Mm.
Um, and when you are, it does, you know, make you realize as human beings how fragile we are.
Mm.
Um, but from that fragility, we can nurture it and become very, very strong. So I appreciate you bringing that part of it because there is a human vulnerability there.
Mm.
So thank you, Jenlyn.
Mhm.
Marissa, I'm going to ask you the same questions. If you would please share with us what your diagnosis or diagnoses are. When was the first time you learned about it and how did it make you feel?
Okay, there we go. Um, well, I just say that I was born with cerebral palsy, so it's the only thing I've ever known. And so, if you ask me, I mean, I knew, of course, I, I'm different, but the thing, but if you ask me, and I know I have a disability because able-bodied people walk, and I walk differently. But if you ask me, this is what I've always known. So yeah, I'm disabled, but personally, this is who I am. So I look at it a little differently, if that makes sense. And due to my disability, I have a lot of secondary disabilities. Um, but cerebral palsy is my primary diagnosis.
So I knew that this is something you were born with. Yet I asked that question, when did you find out and how did you feel? And I had a very
Oh
specific
well,
reason
well,
for
my
asking
mom
that.
found out when I was 6 months old,
Very good.
and I had a sibling who could walk and talk, and my mom knew basically that I wasn't hitting my developmental milestones, and I knew that I was different when doctors would throw me up in the air to watch my reactions. And
Um,
like I said, I knew I walked differently, I talked differently. I knew I was different, but in answer to your question, my mom found out when I was 6 months old. But to me, I wasn't different because this is who I am
exactly.
personally.
Yes, yeah, and that's why I asked the question because I already knew you were born with cerebral palsy. Therefore, you would not have had a defining moment when you were diagnosed with something and became aware of it and had feelings based on that. And that's what I want to show because you know when we live with a challenge and one that's you know can hold us back in life, can potentially hold us back in life from doing certain things. Um, It is as a result of being born with and or an accident and or development and or there's no this is the only cause for and it's the constantly wanting to drive but there is no discrimination to whom, to where, to when, to how. These were not us walking around a yard sale going, oh, I'm gonna pick this one. No,
Right. Yeah.
right? This,
I
this
mean,
is
I
something
I
we
will
are.
say, Nick, that I knew I was different. Like when I started elementary school, um, in my district, kids were nice for the most part. I mean, you had an exceptional person who
That's
kid who
good.
might have been,
Not the norm.
but the kids were okay. The teachers were like, let's just say the word special. I had the most problem with my teachers. I got thrown out of my elementary school because they thought I was a liability. My parents wound up moving, so those kinds of things, those experiences, in case I didn't think I was special, in case I was just who I am, those experiences taught me there were elements of society where I just completely didn't fit and I wasn't accepted. So
I
I would
understand.
say I learned that I was different, like around the time I was, in case I didn't recognize it when I was younger and it got thrown up in the air, I recognized it like when I was 4 or 5 years old, and then again when I was a teenager, because things, all my friends were driving, I wasn't, and so I can say in my life there were different timelines of events and things that happened where I was shown, in case you didn't think that you were different, let's just show you you're different. So that's where I recognized that my diagnosis had an effect because of societal issues, if that makes any sense.
Thank you for sharing that because these are the different perspectives that I want to come out. How we learned about how we responded, how it affected our emotions, how it affected the people around us, what were the externals that contributed to our way of thinking that may or may not have been justified, right? So thank you so much, Marissa. Lydia, I'm sure I don't have to repeat all the questions. I know you're listening. Will you share with us?
Yeah, this is always a hard question for me, but I don't get it very often. But every time that Nick asks it, I struggle with it.
I know,
Um,
but you know what? I look at where you are. I'm deviating here. Um, there's something about Lydia, and it's something I've known from the beginning, and I know she's not going to mind that I share. So, when I asked everyone what your diagnosis was, or diagnosis, right? Because I was doing the course of world graphics, Lydia said to me, I don't like that word. I don't like to look at it that way. I don't like to name them like that. And she still chose to be in the book. I still wanted her in the book, and that's part of the respect that you have for someone else who also is facing a challenge that is somewhat beyond their control, because it does need to be treated and or managed and or dealt with. So you are in a safe space, lady, just so you know. Can I say this? It's my show.
that it is. And I love that. So, the first thing I was diagnosed with, honestly, was being shiny. Um, and I didn't have any official diagnoses. I showed up as normal. I was diagnosed with being a perfectionist. Um, I was diagnosed as being special. I was diagnosed as being gifted. I and that was the first story, But later, I had diagnoses and injuries, and the first one, or maybe around the same time, was CPTSD and ADHD. And later I learned about autism and synesthesia, which, if you don't know, that's how your senses combine. And it's actually on this autism spectrum. And I don't consider this to be something that didn't cause me too much strife, except as a music student, because it definitely messed with some of my experiences getting my degree. Um, but yeah, those are the diagnoses. And then from some things that happened later, I ended up with traumatic brain injuries, chronic atypical migraines that affect my whole body. And I have no spleen. I have a third of my pancreas. My colon has been reconstructed twice, and my entire abdomen has been reconstructed. And I have been diagnosed as never being able to walk again and never being out of pain. And I may have, and chronic depression. I may have missed something. I don't, like I said, I don't pay much attention to them. I show up. I show up and I look to what I need to do in order to show up. And that includes a lot of medications and shots. And that bring me to what I call my baseline self. I used to not want any medications because I didn't want any diagnoses. And now I realize that some of them, I love being my baseline self. I love being able to speak. I love being able to walk. So that's me.
That was perfect, you see. And all three of you shared things that I want to touch on. The baseline, and that's why I said there are threads, there are connections. We're all different, and I understand the baseline well. I once took a picture and posted it of my 3 medications in my palm, my 2 antidepressants and my mood stabilizer, and I said down the hatch in 10 seconds. It's the same way people take vitamins for their body. It's the same way that I take those vitamins for my brain, as far as I'm concerned. And that gets me out of bed every morning with my feet on the ground and not 6 feet under, trying to claw my way to solid ground so that I can even start my day. So, you know, medication works as some, medication in combination with other things work as some. There's so many different ones. Um, and there's so many crossovers of diagnoses in this book. And I learned so much reading these stories. I did not know what synesthesia was. In fact, when Lydia and I met to go over her chapter, there was quite a bit that she needed to explain to me. There was quite a bit in Jenlin's chapter that I actually had to Google. I'm not ashamed to say I Google. I wanted a better understanding of, so that I could understand the context within which um, it's just it's amazing to me how many ripples there are from the start of one issue. Um, Most times it doesn't start and end there. And another thing that I really want to share is because after I read this, and I read about the ADHDers in this book, I am like telling my husband that I think I need to get tested because there is so much about me that I would um, make self condescending remarks about. Not necessarily in public, but to like my husband and my family. Why am I all over the place like this? Why can't I, concentrate on one thing? I don't understand how 1 minute I can sit here for 2 hours staring and take care of this, and then another minute I can't. Like all sorts of things run through my mind. And I'm like, why can't my mind just shut down? The only way I seem to be able to do that is to sleep. And people used to tell me, you sleep a lot. That was the only way I knew how to turn off. Um, so I'm just thinking that here am I, this individual who got to read all these stories, and I'm already to the point where I'm so impacted by them that I'm starting to feel a measure of comfort um, in recognizing that some of the things that I'm feeling doesn't mean that something is uniquely wrong with just Nick. So, um, and I share these because I want you to understand the impact that these stories have had on me. And yes, I want you to buy the book, but I want you to read the stories. Um, Before we go into the last round of questioning, and I want to thank you, ladies, so much for just being yourselves the way that I know you, right? There are people in this audience you may not know, but you're up here having a conversation with me the way we have conversations on the phone. That means everything. That is exactly what I hope to accomplish with what I do. Is for people to come to a point where they are so comfortable expressing themselves no matter what situation they are in. They are willing to say, this is my story and I own it. You don't have to own it. I own it. So, Aaron, I am going to ask you to please put up the beautiful video that Soul Man created alongside the soul touching song written by Crystal B. This song and this video were made for this book, and all of this could not come together with all the multitude of hands coming in to make this happen.
They gave it a name in a cold white room, spoken whispers like a spell my doom. But I've got a soul that can't diagnose. I've walked through fire and I'm still close to everything I'm meant to be, not just what they see. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Some days hurt, some days shine, but I've made peace with this heart of mine. I've got cracks, but they let light in. That's where the strength begins. No shame in being real, that's how I heal. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Might walk a little slower, but my heart beats just as loud. Might fall and get back up again, but I wear that proud. Cause brave looks different on everyone, and I'm proud of who I've become. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm more than pain, more than letters next to my name. I've got fire, I've got grace, I've got hope you can't erase. So don't you tell me who I am, I'm writing that with my own hand. I'm still singing loud and clear. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not my diagnosis.
Thank you so very much, Aaron, for putting that up. Um, it's a beautiful piece. Um, I think it represents what we're sharing here. Well, it's calm and peaceful, but there is a thread of strength below there, and that is what we all are. This unbreakable thread runs just below the surface, and it's one people don't often see, but that's what keeps us going and wanting to help and motivate and inspire and be there for. So I will ask one last round of questions because we're coming up on time. I'm going to get back and answer all of the questions and comments, I'm sorry, in the show. I want to thank you for still being here with us. And I did see somebody pop in earlier, and I just caught your name. Um, it said something manic 420.
Mm.
I don't believe I've met you before. Please reach out. I would love to meet you, and anyone else that I haven't connected with. Um, so we're gonna start with Marissa because Marissa's next to me now. Everyone moved around in the order, and then we'll go to Lydia and last Lynn. Okay, so Marissa, um, I want to ask, why did you choose to share your story? Now, why did you choose to share it? Did you have any challenges writing it? And what would you like your readers to take away?
Um, First, I gotta say that song gets me all the time. I've heard it like 3 times, but it gets me every time. So, yeah. So, did I have trouble writing my? Did I have issues with my story? Yes, which I was surprised about. I just want to say a couple things. You'll see it in the book, and I hope everybody enjoys reading it. I wrote my story in third person, and um, I've always considered myself an athlete, and I was trying to figure out how to write that. Like, have I joined teams and so forth? No, but what I do, um, I still feel athletic, and I enjoy that stuff. And so, I, for me, I didn't want to write like my diagnosis out. So it's this. I use myself as a character to talk a bit about my diagnosis, and you can read the rest.
Yes, it was very well written. It was a different view for sure. Um, and what would you like your readers to take away from your story?
That just because a person has a diagnosis doesn't mean they can't live to their highest and best um, good, whatever that means for them. So I write about how I go through a story, and at the end, I realize that I am an athlete. You know what I mean? Or the character recognizes that they're an athlete because
You are
I'm
an
a
athlete,
character.
woman.
Yeah,
You are. You bike 27 miles. Okay, I'm pretty sure I can't even make it a mile down the road. I'm just saying. Okay, and you did this with cerebral palsy, somebody that isn't able to get on the 2 feet steadily and walk around. Okay, what kind of strength must it take for you to pedal? I have no idea. I definitely could even, like I said, forget a mile. I can't even do 10 squats right now. Yes, I could just say that on live, but Marissa, thank you so much and for taking this journey again with me. You know what this means. Thank you.
yeah, my pleasure. Thank you
Lydia,
all.
Yeah. There was so much wrapped up in that. Can you repeat the question again? Just repeat the question again.
no, and I'm terrible. I never ask one questions. All my 3 questions were like 3 questions and a question. Um, which was, why did you choose to share your story? Um, did you face any challenges writing the story? And what would you like your readers to take away once they've read your chapter?
Yeah. Okay. Um, I first of all, for some reason, you know, there's a trend that's out there for speak your truth, tell your story, and um, I've not really jumped on that. Yeah, you know, there's a video here and there where I will say something, but Nick asked me, and it was like, boom, yes. It was like, download, you got to go. So that's why I did it. Um, it was time. It was the right venue. It was the right container rather than me standing on a soapbox, either being pitied or having rocks thrown at me, which is kind of like what it feels like when I've ever said anything in the past. When I've said, I get you. Um, and people will throw rocks and say, you don't get anything, privileged freaking life, and you go, you know, go suck it. And it's hard to give compassion when, so it makes one like me just say, yeah, I don't need to tell my story. And I'm not living in my story. I'm living in my transformation. So I think that's one of the things that I really want people to go away with. Not not that statement and figuring it out, but really seeing that I'm teaching this now, and I'm activating it in people, that the radical belief, the radical shift in belief that everyone on this stage has mentioned. I believe that everything that's happened to me has led me to the point where it's going to be the support and the container for others to rise up out of their pain, out of their misery, out of their self-loathing, out of their the soapbox with where you're being stoned. And I don't mean like 420 stoned. I mean like
Yeah, no. No, but everybody that has come up so far, because I'm going to bring all of the writers up at some point. You and everyone else spoke your truth here live, and the essence of what you're sharing is in your chapters. I've read them, so I know. And you are right. The way your chapter reads, you are not living your diagnosis. You are living in your transformation, and your chapter flows that way, right? So the impactfulness of the transformation is more so by touching on those, because it shows the start of the transformation and how much further the transformation went for you beyond taking medication, beyond the daily management of pain. You transcended to somewhere completely else. You went a whole nother level of spirituality and healing and growth and just higher being. So I appreciate you, and just thank you for saying yes at the time that you did, which was
thank
now,
you.
and giving me the honor of your trust to help put your story out there. So thank you.
Thank you for asking. And I didn't answer, but you kind of answered for me, like what was difficult. And it was that was difficult. How to put so many chapters of torture, abuse, accidents, 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 and diagnoses into a chapter. It's a chapter of chapters, and it's
it's a path, and it's not necessarily linear, because for me, it's not linear. So thank you for saying that it reads like that, because that was hard to write.
It does. You touch on the darkness, but there's a lot of light in your chapter. So thank you so much, Lydia. I know we're a little bit over time, guys, but I need to hear from Jenlyn. You need to hear from Jenlyn. Jenlyn's work continues to blow me away. Her style of writing, the words that she finds, I can't even say uses because I have to go Google some of the words. And the manner in which she puts them together, it compels you to read the next sentence and the next paragraph and the next. And I'm saying this because I might be the publisher, but I am by far not the best writer of all the 63 people that I've worked with, and I am so okay with saying that. But her level of writing, um, and it doesn't read like a level of writing that's scholarly, right? The warmth is there, the human touch is there. Um, so you know all the questions. Why did you choose to share your story? What was there any challenges? What do you want your readers to walk away with?
First off, thank you so much. And yeah, I want people to be curious and say, what does that mean? I want people to go deeper on their own accord with their own curiosity. I would love to draw that out of people in when I'm drawing or writing, right? Whatever it is that I'm creating, go deeper. There's things hidden, these beautiful jewels. So I love that you have to Google, and thanks for sharing that. What's difficult, not really. This is my 5th or 6th now, and I'm also working on my own because it is very hard to put your everything into this little chapter. And so out of those 6, when the overflow, I'm working on another project with that. So it wasn't necessarily hard to write, but I did reach a level within my own soul, that I shared yesterday on Engine, and that was this line that was embedded in my soul that came forward, and that's that. I have also laughed so hard that my scars shook, and that was a really incredible, beautiful moment, and that's why I write. I write for the duality. I want people to know that I am more than my diagnosis, but I am also my diagnosis. And I live a healed life, but I am not healed. I have 9 autoimmune diseases and all the other little things. There's this duality that I wanted people to be able to know that it's okay if you're there. And then there's this outside of causality space that is highly spiritual, where you're completely highly healed and there is nothing that comes and stands in your way. And it's a dance, it's a spiral between all of those spaces. And I wanted people to know also that no matter what your level of belief is, your faith is, and all of those things, don't give up if you're not having the results that you've heard other people are having, or that is possible, and it's just not happening for you. Just don't get stuck in those things, because healing is not really what you're seeking. What you're really seeking is integration and acceptance, love, compassion, and empathy. And those are the things that our diagnoses can teach us. And that's what makes us more than our diagnosis. And I want that person that's feeling that way, laying on the couch, not being able to be heard, not being understood, and being told that they're crazy, being told that they just don't believe hard enough, being told that it's because of all of the trauma and they need to do all of this and that to get through. Yes, it is all of those things, but it's also none of those things. It's an illness, it's a disease, it's what happens in this human flesh. So that's it.
Beautifully shared. All of you. I'm just incredibly proud of all the stories, and it's a blessing to know all of you. Um, Thank you. We have a fun 10, 11 days ahead of us. July 1st, we are launching.
10 days,
It
right?
will be a 10 days. It will be a double celebration. July 1st is my baby's birthday, my son. And a big part of this and landing it there is because he spent a lot of time growing up as a child from his youngest seat watching me deal, or not deal, not deal with my bipolar episodes and issues and the way they affected him and our relationship and what I was able to provide and such. And it means the world to me to be able to dedicate a book like this to him on his birthday so that he could see not just how far I've come, but that I've met other people in this space who have come as far as I've come. Um, and that makes me feel very not alone. So thank you, ladies. Aaron's going to bring you backstage. If you want to hang on for a couple of minutes, I'll be right there. All right. So a beautiful night. You're hearing pop, pop, pop. There are fireworks going off in my neighborhood. I don't know what we're celebrating, but I guess I shall go see shortly. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for staying, for acknowledging these writers, their journeys, and their vulnerability in sharing them. There's a lot coming down the pike for Guiding Brilliant Writers. Nick Neff in Control will be airing the next few Saturdays, introducing the remainder of the co-authors, and then Nick Neff in Control returns to what Nick Neff in Control was, just talking about anything and everything whenever the hell we feel like it. Why? Because we just want to. So I see my remote producer back there. It's face like what? So please keep an eye out. I'm going to be sharing the event for the launch party. Lots of fun stuff coming up in the launch party. Lots and lots and lots and lots of. You just might hear some people you know singing, maybe. Also, big news coming down the pike. Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing merch is launching on July 1st. July 1st. I can't wait. I will share the front logo in a post so you can just see it and like moon all over it because I totally am mooning all over it. At the end of July 31st, part 2 of The Silent Canvas by psychological thriller Jack Torrance drops. Early September, we are going to be dropping an incredible story from Jen Lin. I'm not even going to say what this is because as far as I'm concerned, Jen Lin is such a creative that Jen Lin is in her own space, period. At the end of September, we're going to be dropping a book by Dr. Steve Hudgens regarding mosaic families. He will actually be on the person behind the pen this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Please tune in so that you can meet this incredible gentleman. And we'll leave it there for now. We are at 9:10, and I need to let everybody go off and do their thing. Thank you so very much. This is Nick Never in Control. Sometimes the best way for you to regain control is to let go of it. Have a great night.
Free your mind. gate. Look back and you will see there is someone waiting for you. He, she, or me. Free your mind and open your heart. Loosen control and embrace who you are. Set your soul free to dream. These brambles and thorns that impede the path to our greatest selves are but the test to our willingness and strength to find our greatest wealth. Free your mind and open your heart. Loosen control to dream. Come dream with me.